My name is Professor Colburn, and this is my guest.
Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't see you there. I'm Tatiana. I will be here providing a less than Caucasian perspective on the movies we'll be reviewing this evening.
Being friendly and being a friend, I think, are two different things. I think there are many whites who act friendly toward Negroes. A fox acts friendly toward the lamb. And usually the fox is the one who ends up with the lamb chop on his plate. The wolf doesn't act friendly, and therefore the wolf has more difficulty in getting the lamb chop in his plate.
I'd like to point out, though, that...
And I say that because it is usually if you study the structure of the Negro community, economically, politically, civically, psychologically, and otherwise, it's controlled by the white liberal, who usually poses as the friend of the Negro, who actually differs from the white conservative in the same way that the fox differs from the wolf. Their appetite is the same. Their motives are the same. It's only their mannerisms and methods that differ.
Malcolm X talking about the white liberal is a good setup for what we're about to talk about. We're going to do a dual movie review of Get Out and Green Book. Whereas in Get Out, casual racism is part and parcel with institutional racism. In the Green Book, casual racism is excusable and you can still be, I don't know, a hero.
Yeah, if you're still racist at the end of the day and you leave, like, you know, the black man you, like, bonded the whole movie with to spend Christmas by himself. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Watch the movie before you watch this.
I did watch the movie.
I wasn't talking to you!
Oh, that's right. Them. Our audience.
I would agree that no doubt there have been a large number of whites who have posed as liberals and as friends of the Negro and who have time and again betrayed the Negro. On the other hand, I think one could point to a large number of whites who have struggled for civil rights, for equality, and have got little or nothing out of it, other than quite a few bruises.
Give me an example.
Well, the large number of white students who have gone into the South, for example, working for SNCC and other organizations.
Not working for SNCC or other organizations, but working for the white political machines who benefit by the voting efforts of Negroes.
Okay, I'll be more specific. I would cite Herbert Hill, for example, as a kind of person who has championed Negro job rights, for example, in New York City and elsewhere. He has fought the political machine.
First time I met Herbert Hill personally was when they were picketing to stop the working on the Harlem Hospital in Harlem. Negroes for 10 years had to fight the city to get an annex built on the Harlem Hospital. Because in Harlem we need a hospital more so than anything else. Our people are sick. Plus we do a lot of cutting and shooting of each other, though we profess to be nonviolent. And Herbert Hill brought his forces out and stopped the working on that site. This is the first time I ever saw him. Then when work was brought to a halt on a hospital in Harlem, the same Negroes tried to stop the work at the Downstate Medical Center in Brooklyn, which is predominantly white. They were out there for 3 months during the summer, couldn't stop anything. And I never saw Herbert Hill out there one time. Now, whenever it takes a stoppage of something that's going to affect the white man, you find the white liberal absent. But when it involves something that primarily will affect the best interests of black people and black people only, then that white liberal is present. Herbert Hill is the labor secretary for the NAACP. And if he was interested in black people, he would prepare a black man with the type of knowledge and understanding of the labor troubles involving black people that would enable a black man to sit in the same position as Secretary of Labor or Labor Secretary in the NAACP. I'm suspicious of whites who join Negroes and always have to be in the lead, who always have to be the head, who always have to be at the top in Negro organizations. Those whites who really have the interest of blacks at heart, let them give some advice to some Negroes and stand on the sideline. But don't join the organization and then get at the head of it and pose as a friend of Negroes.
Okay, so now we're about to show a clip which is pretty key to our analysis.
I know what you're thinking.
What?
Come on, I get it. white family, black servants. It's a total cliche.
I wasn't gonna take you there.
Well, you didn't have to, believe me. No, we hired Georgina and Walter to help care for my parents. When they died, I couldn't bear to let them go. I mean, boy, I hate the way it looks.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
By the way, I would have voted for Obama for a third term if I could. Best president in my lifetime, hands down.
So this is something that I have actually heard in real life said to me. I guess it's a way to say that, hey, you know, if I would vote for a black president again, I'm clearly not racist. People do say it like ingenuine, like, oh, he's a good president. I don't see color, another thing that's kind of passively racist, you know, erasing race as a whole.
And that's exactly what Rose says at the beginning of the movie.
What?
Do they know I'm black?
No. Should they?
It seems like something you might wanna, mention.
Mom and Dad, my black boyfriend will be coming up this weekend, and I just don't want you to be shocked that he's a black man.
You said I was the first black guy you ever dated.
Yeah, so what?
Yeah, so it's just uncharted territory for, I don't want to get chased off the lawn with a shotgun.
You're not going to. First of all, my dad would have voted for Obama a third time if he could have.
Spoiler alert, Rose is in on the whole thing. So she's Malcolm X's white liberal as the fox, right?
Yeah.
And that shows that when you say, oh, I don't see race, means that you're faking it and you are a racist.
Yeah, I mean, because obviously you do see race, you do see color, and if you say that you don't, you're taking it and pretending it doesn't exist. So there has to be some level of understanding what you're seeing, what you're looking at, what's going on for you to pretend it doesn't exist. The intent behind I don't see race is I don't care what color you are, I will treat you equally. I think that is kind of what the message is supposed to be, but at the same time, erasing black people as their own people, as a culture, history, is just as insulting as saying, I'm going to, like, treat you different because of this, because that's kind of what it is in its whole, is I'm going to treat you different than I would any other white person. You don't go up to, like, a white person and be like, I can't even tell you're white. I can't. Because that also assumes that white is the default, and that's normal, and then everyone else is other.
You're just announcing it to people who are the other.
Yeah.
To say that it doesn't exist.
Yeah, exactly.
Which it obviously does.
I mean,
which erases their experience and invalidates their experience of discrimination.
Bada bing, bada boom.
I think this is the best Kentucky Fried Chicken I ever had. But I guess it's fresher down here, right?
I don't think I've ever met anyone with your appetite.
No, I got the bucket so you could have some.
I've never had fried chicken in my life.
Who you bullshitting? You people love the fried chicken, the grits and the collard greens. I love it too. Negro cooks used to make it all the time when I was in the army.
You have a very narrow assessment of me, Tony.
But why is that important that he...
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, so the whole thing with that is it's like, this white guy's gonna teach black person about their own culture. What do you mean you don't know all these artists and you haven't had fried chicken before? Bada bing, bada boom, And it's just like, I don't know. In the movie, Dr. Shirley says, like, just because I'm this and I like these things doesn't mean I'm any less black. And that was kind of like the point.
But I don't know if that was the point, because in the movie itself, Tony Lip's character doesn't end up being wrong, because another scene, Dr. Shirley is like, yes, I was never accepted by my culture.
What, I can't get mad at that stuff he was saying because I ain't black? Christ, I'm blacker than you are.
Excuse me?
You don't know shit about your own people.
Rich white people pay me to play piano for them because it makes them feel cultured. But as soon as I step off that stage, I go right back to being just another nigga to them. Because that is their true culture. And I suffer that slight alone because I'm not accepted by my own people, because I'm not like them either. So if I'm not black enough, and if I'm not white enough, and if I'm not man enough, then tell me, Tony, what am I?
This is a totally different topic on alternative black culture, which I'd say I'm a part of, being a big nerd, being like a loser, not really fitting in with any of the stereotypes necessarily. I think I've always felt like I wasn't really black enough. Obviously, I don't sound black. That's because I grew up in all-white suburbs in Texas. I didn't choose to do that. So I've kind of find myself in between two places, code switching, blah, blah, blah. But just because, like, I didn't grow up doing stereotypical black things doesn't really make me any less black, obviously. Like, I'm like, objectively, I'm black. Like, regardless of what I did growing up, or if I had fried chicken or not, which I did, but...
So I guess the scene comparison for me between the two movies is the hypnosis scene in Get Out, where Missy Armitage hypnotizes Chris and forces him to participate in becoming their slave. Whereas in Green Book, Tony Lip gives Dr. Shirley his chicken. Dr. Shirley says, no, 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 I don't want chicken.
Yeah.
He's in the back seat. I'm going to throw it back there, whether you...
If you don't catch
it,
you're not.
If you don't catch it,
I'll throw it on your nice suit that
if you don't catch it, it's going to go
life.
back there, whether you want it or not. He has no consent in the situation.
I was just about to say that was non-consent fried chicken.
And Tony Lip is vindicated because Dr. Shirley eats the chicken and likes it.
And then the other scene when he goes to play for those random rich people at their house, they're like, oh, we was wondering what Dr. Shirley might like for dinner, and we asked the help, and they said fried chicken, and all of a sudden they bring out like a bunch of fried chicken. It's like, so... then he doesn't let him use the bathroom inside. My biggest issue with Green Book, actually, and the whole white savior theme, was that Tony was just completely unhelpful the whole time. Also, you see in the beginning that, like, oh, he's racist. He won't drink out of the same cups as the black people doing work in their kitchen. And he kind of doesn't end up growing that much. He's completely motivated by money. Anytime there's any situation where Dr. Shirley is put in a position with racist people, he kind of just... He never says anything that addresses the bigger issue of racism, but says, oh, he's a good guy, you can let him off this once, or oh, you can let him eat in the dining room, just make an exception for him.
Why can't you just make an exception this one time?
Like, not that, like, no, this place is racist, you're a dirtbag, and we're just gonna leave. Like, it was always an issue. And at the end of the movie, Dr. Shirley is drives him home to see his family on Christmas, and just doesn't even invite him over for Christmas, and he knows he's gonna be alone. That's so sad.
Good night.
Wait. Come up and meet my family.
Merry Christmas, Tony.
Merry Christmas.
And then he goes home and gets drunk, and I guess comes back. And I guess it's cool that everyone let him come in and eat, but they were also like, talking crap about him, like, scenes earlier. And
Tony, tell us about the trip. You've been gone 2 months.
Yeah, how was he, the Tootsoon? You get on your nerves?
Don't call him that.
All right.
It's not like he said anything like, hey, don't talk about him like that. Like, hey, that's my friend. Hey, that's pretty racist. That's not cool. It was like, all the white people honest. He changed. He grew so much. Before, he didn't want to even drink out of the same cup as a black person. And now, he's telling his other racist family members to cut it out. Stunning and brave. Over for dinner.
What?
That's so many dishes that he might eat off after him. That's a lot. He's completely changed as a person. That's what Martin Luther King died for right there.
With all due respect, sir, you wouldn't be in a job like this if you couldn't be bought.
Stop.
I find that scene hilarious, personally. I know it's obviously supposed to be serious, but it wasn't. That was the perfect example of him being like, just not acknowledging the greater issue of racism as a whole, the institution at all, nothing, and really not standing up for Dr. Shirley until it gets to a point where he's like, Dr. Shirley basically gives him an ultimatum, and it just wasn't, there was no, it wasn't anything about what he thought was right. It was just about, this is kind of an inconvenience, I felt. It was kind of what it felt like to me. And then it's not like there were any consequences. And he didn't even make up that extra money that dude was bribing him. Rookie mistake.
And I can just imagine just like a white person watching this movie the same way that I did. And just being like, yeah!
The people that are racist in this movie are portrayed in such a larger-than-life caricature, like, version of what racism is generally, that they're like, oh, well, at least I'm not that racist. At least I'm not, you know...
Not a big deal. Come on.
He ain't going nowhere. We need a Brillo pad to wash his dishes with.
You ain't got no say. Maybe. But whatever happens here, I'm gonna put a bullet right in the middle of your thick skull.
He ain't got no gun, Ray. He's full of shit.
What if he ain't?
Look at what we got here! What is that? I'm literally so racist that no one can deny I'm racist, and basically everyone can agree that that character is stupid, and no one wants to be like them. But then the moment you have, you know, any other character that's doing anything, it's like, oh, well, you know, yeah, they're kind of racist, but I mean, at least they're not that racist.
If we, like, make this meta now, Jordan Peele has said that people are now saying, I've seen Get Out 3 times, instead of saying, I voted for Obama 3 times.
Somebody was saying that I've seen Get Out 4 times is the new, I would have voted for Barack Obama.
In other words, the movie has had no effect, and white liberals are trying to use it as cred to show that they're not racist, but haven't done anything different or learned anything. And Get Out doesn't win Best Picture, but The Green Book does.
Honestly, I really think that it was a social aspect of everyone in Hollywood being like, oh, we embrace diversity and we understand that it's been, like, you know, a rough time for those black people. We gotta really, you know, the white savior thing, we've saved them. It's Best Picture. Racism is over, guys.
Whereas Get Out, ooh, this makes us uncomfortable.
Yeah, ooh, that's a little bit too real, don't you think? Also, it was not about Dr. Shirley, really, at all. He was definitely not the starring role in his own goddamn movie.
And it's not just that he's not the main character, it's that he's a complete
like not
caricature
of
a person.
I've seen Get Out so many times, but my friends, they just want to watch God is Dead over and over again. Like The Blind Side or something. It's not good enough.
Now, I wrote this movie in the Obama era, and we were in this post-racial lie. This movie was meant to call out the fact that racism is still simmering underneath the surface, and of course, this is a system that values the rich white people and takes their side. So,
Chris, I really
my feeling is what would happen in this movie is Chris would end up in jail.